So let's do Mr. Brown first. All right, we're on the record in docket 22-02015. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Raekwon Brown. For the parties, please. So you are Raekwon Brown, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Raekwon Brown.
All right. And this is the time set for an arraignment on assault and battery. This is a fail to appear. So I'm going to indicate for you the nature of the bench warrant that was placed out for you and why you were placed out, and then we'll talk about some of your rights in this case. All right, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it appears that this was signed by Court Officer Nathaniel Neves on December 5th, 2022. It was the bench warrant was issued by myself on December 5th. This was for failure to appear at a pretrial. You were scheduled for pretrial on December 5th in this matter. So that is the nature of the allegation against you concerning the bench warrant. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your next pretrial in this matter will be March 14th, 2023 at 10 a.m. You'll be given a part of that date. Is all the information concerning your address and phone? I just want to make sure that's all up to date. I have a 2345 Kensington, Lansing, Michigan address as a contact. Is that still your contact information?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I have a phone number of 810-585-1413. Is that still correct?
No, sir.
All right. What's the new number for you, sir?
720
720 551
5826.
5826. All right.
And then, sir, could I possibly just say just one thing real fast?
You may, if it shouldn't be around the facts that we're here about. Mr. Lee, I point him in your direction on that in case he wants to say anything.
Yeah, don't make any comments about why you failed to appear or any comments related to the underlying assault and battery charge.
All right. So, Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond on this case?
Your Honor, we would just remind the court that Mr. Brown has not had any interaction with the criminal justice system here over the last 5 years or so. He enjoys the presumption of innocence in the underlying matter. He has lived in Lansing his whole life. He has family here in Lansing, so he's not a flight risk. We're asking if the court would reinstate and or issue a personal recognizance bond.
All right, thank you. I did set your initial bond on this. It was 3 counts of assault and battery. It was initially set for it was at 3,010%, and I set it at 4,010%. I think I made it 4,010% if I'm correct. Let's see. Yeah, 4,010%. Because of your failed to appear today. So you understand you have the court date of March 14th, 2023 at 10 a.m. Is that correct, Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. Very
all
much
right.
so.
All right. I'll reinstate the initial bond at 3,010%. That was the initial bond that was set. So I'll indicate it that the initial bond was 3,010%. I'm good with a 3,010% bond. but you're building a track record that you don't want to do, which has failed to appear. So it's set at 3,010%, which was the initial bond set. Anything else on this docket or record, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. So you're all set, Mr. Brown. We'll see you on March 14, 2023, and I've reduced your bond to 3,010%. You're all set. All right. We'll go on the record in Marquez Robinson. Mr. Marquez Robinson. I have two files.
Sir.
All right, we're on the record in docket 23-00476 and 23-00673. We'll arraign them separately, so we'll do the 476 case first. And sir, you are Marquez Brown. Marquez Robinson, spelled Marquez Robinson.
Yes.
Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee, appearing on behalf of Marquez Robinson.
All right, sir. In this file, I'm going to read the allegations that have been indicated against you, and then I'm going to read you some rights you have in this felony file. All right, sir?
Okay.
Okay, it is alleged on September 29th of 2021 at the offense location of Ionia Street, Sycamore Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, that yourself, Marquez Robinson, that did in count one, carry a dangerous weapon, to wit, a pistol, whether concealed or otherwise, in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, to wit, a 2008 Jeep Grand Cherokee, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that's 750.227. It's a felony, 5 years and or $2,500. Mandatory forfeiture of weapon or device pursuant to the laws of the state of Michigan may be forfeited. Sir, do you understand the nature of the charges that have been brought against you?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to read you through these your felony trial rights in this matter. You understand, sir, you have the right to be tried by a jury or bench. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have witnesses appear at your trial and testify for you and against you. You have the right to question those witnesses. You have the right for the court to order any witnesses appear in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You also have the right to counsel. You are represented by John Lee from the Public Defender's Office for purposes of this arraignment. Do you plan to seek further representation on this file from the Public Defender's Office?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll indicate yes for the register of actions that you plan to seek from the PD office. Your next hearing date on this felony file is probable cause conference is March 10th at 8:30 in front of myself. The preliminary examination is March 17th, 2023 in front of myself at 8:30. Understand that that probable cause or preliminary examination is a probable cause conference that you have a right to within 21 days of your date of arraignment, which is today. You have the right to a probable cause conference in which the people of the state of Michigan would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. You, of course, can be represented by counsel at that hearing, and you can contest or cross-examine any witnesses brought against you. Do you understand your preliminary examination rights, sir?
Yes.
All right. What is a good address for you for the court file, sir?
815 North Walnut Street.
815 North Walnut Street.
Apartment 1B.
And that's Lansing. What is the zip code there?
48906.
Okay. And then do you have a cell phone or number that's a good number, contact?
Yes, 517-980-5966.
Say it again, sir.
517-980-5966.
5966. That 815 North Walnut Street, is there an apartment there?
Yes, 1B.
1B, thank you. Are you on probation or parole?
No,
Are you employed?
no.
All right, I'll enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Robinson reports only low-level traffic-related misdemeanors in his criminal history. He does not present as a threat to himself or society. He's lived in Lansing for 5 years. His aunt and uncle, his cousins all live here in the Lansing area and provide a support structure for him. He takes this matter seriously and intends to participate in the process. So we're asking for a personal recognizance bond, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, so if you're able to make bond, sir, I'm going to set the following bond conditions. No assaultive behavior, no use of alcohol or drugs, no out-of-state travel, no possession of a firearm, and you're to report to pretrial services if you make bond within 48 hours.
Okay.
I do have I do have that this is a felony CCW involving a handgun. I don't have much of a CCH, although I do have a follow-up file that a year later, the allegation is you did have another handgun. So at this time, I'm going to set bond at 3,000, 10%. Anything else for the record in docket 2300476, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, and then Mr. Robinson, I have a new file that you need to be arraigned on. So we'll indicate the same as to the following. Sir, you are once again Marquez Robinson?
Yes.
All right, and Mr. Lee, your appearance for the record?
Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Marquez Robinson.
All right, Mr. Robinson, this is the date of arraignment. I'm going to tell you what the allegations are in the filed complaint in regards to this file. It is alleged that on or about February 28, 2023, at West Saginaw, North Capital City of Lansing, Ingham County, that you yourself, Marquez Robinson, did in count 1, carry a dangerous weapon, to wit a pistol, concealed or on about his person or his or her person, and whether concealed or otherwise in a vehicle operated or occupied by yourself, to wit a Buick LeSabre. That's a felony, 5 years and or $2,500, mandatory forfeiture of weapon or device pursuant to the state laws of Michigan. Do you understand the nature of the allegation that's been brought against you, sir?
Yes.
You understand you have certain rights in this case, in this felony case, and I'll cover that once again with you. You have the right to be tried by a jury. You have the right to be presumed innocent till proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have witnesses against you appear at trial. You have the right to question those witnesses. You have the right for the court to order any witnesses to appear in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Do you plan to seek, you are of course represented by Public Defender John Lee for purposes of this arraignment. Do you plan to seek additional representation from the Public Defender's Office?
No, not for this case. Plead guilty.
Not for this case?
I don't plead guilty for this one.
Okay, well, is that your understanding, Mr. Lee?
We have not had that conversation, Your Honor. I
Okay.
was not aware of the second file. But Mr. Robinson, certainly my advice would be to plead not guilty today and at least let the process play out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to enter not guilty plea regardless, but I'm going to go ahead and put that this was discussed with the Public Defender's Office, and then we'll take it from there. All right, Mr. Lee?
Very well, Your Honor.
All right. Sir, you have a probable cause conference in this file, which is in front of me on March 10th, 2023 at 8:30. You have an additional preliminary examination set on March 17th, 2023 at 8:30 in front of myself preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which it has to be scheduled within 21 days, in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and probable cause evidence of the identity of the person who committed that crime. That would be a probable cause a preliminary examination in front of myself on March 17th. You'd have the right to counsel at that hearing, and you'd have the right to contest or cross-examine any charges brought against you. Do you understand your preliminary examination rights in this matter?
Yeah.
Your prelim is set for March 17th. All right,
Yes.
thank you. Do you have the same address and phone number for this file, Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right.
So both of these cases are being done at the same time?
Yeah, both of these will be set for PCC for March 10th and the preliminary examination for March 17th.
Okay.
I'll put for the record that you are not on probation or parole, that at this time you're not employed. In regards to that's the same information from the last file. I'll enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you once again like to be heard on bond? I know that this is a newer case for you for your record, but would you like to be heard on bond, or would you submit the same argument as you previously made?
We would reiterate the same considerations, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Robinson, if you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions: no assaultive behavior, no out-of-state travel, no firearm, report to pretrial services within 48 hours if you're able to make bond. Because of the nature of the offense, the previous CCW that is alleged, I know they're both allegations at this time, but I'm going to set bond in this matter for $4,000, 10%. That's for protection of the community, and the fact that there's 2 gun charges outstanding at this time. Anything else, Mr. Lee, in regards to docket 23-00673?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Robinson, you're all set.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're on the record. We'll do Mr. Polito next, or we'll call the case of Frank A. Polito, People versus.
You have six. You just get a little closer. Thank you, Mr. Pluto.
I think you have to use it arraignment.
Yeah, to appear arraignment on the 17th.
No. I don't have my fancy stamp, so I'll just write it in.
Oh,
But you're okay.
just use the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm just gonna use the same ones, the codes. All right, so sir, you are Frank Polito.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're on the record, docket 22-03571. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Frank Polito.
All right. This is the time set for an arraignment in this matter. This was previously, there was a summons mailed and the defendant failed to appear for that summons. So this is set for arraignment. I'll indicate what the charges are, Mr. Polito, in this felony file, and then indicate some of the rights you have. So it is alleged that on June 1st, 2022 at 5510 Joshua, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, yourself, Frank Andrew Polito, did in count 1, knowingly and without authority remove an electronic monitoring device, worn or otherwise, used by Frank Polito as a condition of parole. Contrary to the law of the State of Michigan, that being 771.3F, that's a felony, 2 years and or $4,000. Sir, do you understand the nature of the charges that have been brought against you?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have some rights in this felony trial, and I'll go over those rights with you. You have the right to be tried by a jury. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have witnesses appear at trial on your behalf. You have the right to question those witnesses, any witnesses brought against you. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses you may need in your defense. You You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Do you understand your trial rights in this matter, Mr. Polito?
Yes, sir.
Your next hearing date is set for a probable cause conference on March 9th at 9 a.m. That'll be in front of Judge Simmons. You also have a preliminary examination set for March 16th, 2023 at 9 a.m., also in front of Judge Simmons. Sir, a preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. You, of course, can be represented by counsel. In that case, also, along with your felony rights, you can be represented by counsel. You're represented by counsel John Lee from the Public Defender's Office for this limited purpose of testimony. Thank you. Do you plan on seeking additional representation from the Public Defender's Office in regards to this file?
Yes.
All right. I'll indicate yes for the Register of Actions. Do you have a recent or an updated court address for the court's file? My last address for you is that Quinton Avenue address. Do you have, is that a good address or do you have a more recent address?
I'm gonna give you my parents' address because if anything, it's
All right.
best to go there. It's 4147 Archwood, Hope, Michigan, 48842.
Hope, Michigan,
Yeah,
48812.
42.
And do you have a phone that you'd like for the court file?
Yes. 248-640-3429.
3429. Are you on
Yeah.
probation or parole, sir?
No, sir.
Are you employed?
Not right now.
Okay. I will enter for purposes of this arraignment, I will enter a not guilty plea. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Polito reports that he has had some interaction with the criminal justice system, including prior convictions for domestic violence and so forth. He did serve 27 months for a domestic violence conviction in 2019. We're asking Your Honor to consider the fact that he is originally from Lansing. All his family and support structure are here. So if the court would be willing to grant him a 10% bond and perhaps a GPS tether to assure the court of his cooperation in this matter, that's what we would ask for.
All right, thank you. I have somewhat of previous criminal history here. And I also have bond was set by Judge Simmons in this regard. But I have a 2-year felony out of 2006. I have a retail fraud, which is a misdemeanor. I have an R&O out of 2007. I have a domestic out of 2007. I have a CSC third out of 2010. I have a domestic out of 2009. I have an R&O out of 2018. I have another domestic out of 2019. So because of the prior record and for safety to the community, I'm going to set a 10% bond. That'll be set at $5,000, 10%.
Thank you.
If you're able to make bond, sir, I'm going to order the following to be ordered. GPS is ordered. There is no assaultive behavior, no out-of-state travel, no firearm, and no alcohol or drugs, and to report to pretrial services within 48 hours.
All right, thank you.
Anything else for the record, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Polito, you're all set. Thank you for your appearance today. We're on the, we'll call Mr. Davis Jr. next.
You go all the way to the table, Mr. Davis. Thank you.
All right. Call the record docket 23-00674. I think I have 3 files in this case, so we'll take one at a time on this case. But as to the first file, calling 23-00674, sir, you are Cleveland Davis Jr.?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is the time set for arraignment. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Cleveland
No.
Davis Jr.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right.
I have.
And Mr. Lee is just your attorney today for the arraignment purposes, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yes, sir.
Sir, this is the time set for arraignment. I'm going to read the charges that have been alleged against you, and then we'll talk about some of your rights you have in regards to these charges. So it is
Yes, sir.
alleged on February 28, 2023 at Baker Street, Denora Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County. The defendant Cleveland Davis Jr. did in count 1, did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Officer Christopher Mosby, a police officer of the Lansing Police Department, that the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81 parens D. It's a felony, 2 years and or $2,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed if the assault was committed in a place of confinement pursuant to the law of the state of Michigan. There is a habitual offender notice that I will indicate for the record. This is a 4th offense notice. Take notice the defendant was previously convicted of 3 or more felonies or attempts to commit felonies in that on or about October 26, 2016. He or she was convicted of the offense of home invasion 2nd degree in the 30th Circuit Court of Ingham on or about September 19, 2007. He was convicted of controlled substance possession less than 25 grams in the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County on or about October 26, 2016. He was convicted of resisting and obstructing a police officer pursuant to 750.81D1 in the Ingham County. Therefore, the penalty, if habitualized, is life if primary offense has been penalty of 5 years or more, or 15 years or less if primary offense has penalty under 5 years. Do you understand the nature of the charges brought against you, Mr. Davis?
No, sir.
All right. What don't you understand?
I was told I was here for a retail fraud. None of this has ever been told to me.
All right. Well, you are also here on a retail fraud. That's the next file. This file is resisting and obstructing. Do you understand the nature of the resisting and obstructing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you have the following felony rights in this felony case, and I'll read you those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have the witnesses, any witnesses questioned and appear at trial. You have the right to question those witnesses. You have the right to order any witnesses in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you in a court of law. And you have the right to have to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Mr. Davis Jr., do you understand your trial rights in this matter?
Yeah.
All right. Your next date is set on in front of Judge Buchanan. Will be a probable cause conference on March 10th, 2023, and a preliminary examination on March 17th, 2023 at 8:15. Preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing. A preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people of the state of Michigan would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. You're entitled to that within 21 days of today's date of arraignment. You are also entitled, as a part of both your felony trial rights and your preliminary rights, you're entitled to be to have a lawyer present for your defense. you have Mr. John Lee at your arraignment as a public defender on this current file for arraignment purposes only. Do you plan to seek further representation from the public defender's office?
No,
No?
no.
All right. Do you plan to seek your own representation, sir?
I don't know at this point. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. The officer that arrested me never said anything about assault. There was nothing mentioned to me about assault. He said, you have a warrant for larceny from a
I
building.
don't know if
So
you
I
want to
don't know
say
what he-
anything about the facts of this case right now. So I'd stay away from talking about the facts of the case. Mr. Lee, I've indicated that Mr. Davis does not plan to seek representation. And then I just put, I don't know in quotes, because that's what he said at arraignment. All right, Mr. Lee?
Yes, sir.
All right. So your probable cause date is March 10th, 2023. Preliminary examination prelim date is March 17th. Do you have a current address for the court's file other than the is that Eaton Rapids address or that Albion address?
The
still
only
good for
address
you?
I have.
So it's 12555 Eaton Rapids.
Yeah.
Rapids. It's Eaton Rapids Road. It's in Albion, Michigan. Albion.
12555.
What's that?
12555.
12555. And 49224 is the zip code. Do you have a cell phone number for the court's file?
517-894-48337.
What's the last four numbers, sir?
4837.
48837?
48
Or 483. All right. Are you on probation or parole?
Parole.
Are you employed, sir?
General Motors.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
General Motors.
General Motors. Okay, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, we would remind the court that this is Mr. Davis's first interaction since his release from MDOC in 2021. And although he does have a home invasion and some drug-related crimes, he does not have a violent criminal background or history. So we don't view him as a threat to society in that sense. He has always participated in the process. He's lived for 40 years at the same address, so he's not a flight risk. We're asking Your Honor for consideration in the bond, either personal recognizance or a low 10%, something with a GPS tether, whatever would make the court most comfortable, but as low as possible to allow Mr. Davis to post bond.
May I respond to this procedure?
You can say what you can say something on your behalf in regards to the bond, but I would not get into the facts of the case at all.
Yes, sir. Sir, at this particular moment, I would lose my career, my job, if I'm not out there to secure my job and let know that I need time off. I do have a career at General Motors. I have two children, a boy and a girl, who's in the custody of the grandmother, but the grandmother has become an alcoholic and she's using crack right now. So I have the children. They're in my custody, but she has custody of them, but she's been using drugs lately. I'm trying to get full custody of my children. I would lose them if I disappear. As said,
All right.
I am not a flight risk. I've been here at one address for 40 years, sir. I have a job at General Motors.
All right, thank you. I have a prior criminal history in this regard of a misdemeanor out of 87 for larceny, an R&O out of 88, a drug out of 1990, drug case, retail fraud out of 91, a retail fraud out of 91, same year, retail fraud in the first, a drug case out of 92, that was a possession case of a controlled substance, retail fraud out of 98, some licensed stuff that the court doesn't consider, a retail fraud third out of 2002, a retail fraud out of 2005, retail fraud out of 2006, two retail frauds out of 2006, a possession of controlled substance out of 2007, retail fraud out of 2007, a use out of 2007, retail fraud out of 2011, retail fraud out of 2012, retail fraud out of 2012, retail fraud out of 2013, retail fraud out of 2014, a home invasion out of 2016. And that was enhanced on a habitual offense, a retail fraud out of 2016, a retail fraud out of 2016. So in regards, if you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. GPS is ordered. No use of drugs or alcohol. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No use of firearms or possession of firearms. Report to pretrial services within 48 hours. Based on the extensive criminal history in this matter, I'm going to set bond. This, by the way, is a felony offense, but it's a low-level felony offense. No, it's an R&O, so it's a 2-year. I'm going to set bond at $4,000, 10%. Anything else for the record, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, we're all set on that file. And then we do have the retail fraud file. So once again, Mr. Davis, we're going to arraign you on the retail fraud case that you previously were bench warranted on. And that is docket 23-00316. Sir, you once again are Cleveland Davis Jr.
Yeah,
All right, Mr. Lee, your appearance for the record.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Cleveland Davis Jr.
All right. In this misdemeanor, I'll read you this set for arraignment. I'll read you your misdemeanor charges that have been brought against you. It is alleged that on November 7th, 2022 at 500 East Edgewood Boulevard, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, you did while the target was open to the public on November 7th, 2022. Steal property of the store that was offered for sale at a price of $200 or more, but less than $1,000. Contrary to law, State of Michigan, that being MCL 750.356D. It's a misdemeanor, 1 year and or $2,000, or 3 times the value difference in property that's stolen, obtained, or attempted, whichever is greater. I may order reimbursement for any expenses concerning this matter. Do you understand the nature of the retail fraud misdemeanor brought against you, Mr. Davis?
yes, sir.
All right. You are set for pre-trial on this matter on March 14th, 2023. You have the following misdemeanor rights in this case, and I'll indicate those for the records. You have the right to be tried by a jury. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have the witnesses against you appear at trial. You have the right to question any witnesses brought against you. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You, of course, are represented by John Lee for purposes of this arraignment. Do you plan to seek the public defender's office in regards to this file, Mr. Davis? Is that a yes?
I don't know. I may
All right.
suggest a paid attorney. In both
All right.
cases.
So once again, I'm going to issue I don't know in regards to the answer. So Mr. Lee, for the record, that's the response I got. So I'm gonna take that. Is it the same? You are set for your pretrial on this file on February 16th, 2023 at 8:15. Is it the same address for this file as it was for your previous file, sir?
Yes,
Okay. Cell and phone is the same.
yeah,
And you are on parole, you indicated.
yeah,
And your place of employment is General Motors.
yes,
And I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Your Honor, we would reiterate the same considerations and remind the court that this is a misdemeanor file in which Mr. Davis enjoys the presumption of innocence and asks for a low 10% bond, Your Honor.
Thank you. If you're able to make bond, I'll order the following conditions. No assaultive behavior, no use of drugs or alcohol, no out-of-state travel, no firearms. Because of the nature of the offense and then the extensive criminal history concerning the same nature of the offense. So for protection of the community, I'm going to set bond in this at a low 10% bond. So it'll be 2,010%. Anything on this file, Mr. Lee, in regards to docket 23-00316?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Davis, we have one further. We have one further that's not gonna seem very, but I do have a $215 outstanding balance on a no proof of insurance ticket. Do you need some time to clear that up? I know you've got various files on your plate, but I do have this outstanding, and if it goes to warrant, they'll pick you up again. So do you want to indicate how many days you have to clear this up?
quite a few days, whatever you can make available.
All right, I'm gonna set, so I'm gonna indicate that the defendant was spoken to about the outstanding balance on the no proof of insurance. And I'll set it for payment for 60 days out. So this is March 1st. It'll be May 1st to the City of Lansing Criminal Division. And then I'm sure if you contact them before in relation to this cases and let them know what's going on, they'll work with you on that, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're all set, Mr. Davis. I have May 1st for that balance of $215.
My partner right here, Mr. Davis.
Uh,
You got your paperwork, sir?
No.
You got all you grab.
Next, we'll do Tiffany Culpepper. Right, we're on the record in docket 23-00354. That is Tiffany Culpepper. Ma'am, you are Tiffany Culpepper.
Yes,
Mr. Lee, your appearance for the record.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Tiffany Culpepper.
This is the time set for arraignment. I'm going to read you the charges that have been alleged against you in this misdemeanor case, and then I'll read you some rights you have concerning this misdemeanor case. All right, ma'am?
okay,
All right. The indication is that if the complaint reads that on or about October 29th, 2022, at the offense location of 500 East Edgewood Boulevard, City of Lansing, Ingham County, yourself, Tiffany Asia Culpepper, did in count one make an assault without being armed with a weapon upon Barbara Bruner, and did inflict a serious or aggravated injury upon said person, but without intending to commit the crime of murder, inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. Contrary to the law state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81A1, parents 1, restitution may be ordered in this case pursuant to the laws of the state of Michigan. That's a misdemeanor, 1 year and or $1,000 A consecutive sentence may be imposed if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Ma'am, do you understand the nature of the charges that have been brought against you?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know who Barbara Bruner is.
All right, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that last name.
I don't know her as in general. I don't know a Barbara.
All right,
I'm 26. That sounds like a 50-something-year-old woman.
all right. So thank you. So you have the following trial rights in this matter. You have the right to be tried by a jury. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have the right to have witnesses against you appear at trial. You have the right to question those witnesses in your defense. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses brought for your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You also have the right to counsel in such a trial. Do you understand the nature of your trial rights in this matter, ma'am?
Yes.
All right. The next date for pretrial is set for March 13th, 2023 at 9 a.m. You are represented by Public Defender John Lee for purposes of this arraignment. Do you plan to seek further representation from the Public Defender's Office in this file?
No. I mean,
Okay.
does that, I don't know what that means. I don't want, that's a trick question. What does that mean? Am I gonna seek someone other than him?
Ma'am, I can't guarantee, do you plan to seek representation from the Public Defender's Office, or do you plan to seek your own counsel?
Oh, yeah, from public defender.
All right, I'm gonna indicate yes in the registration of actions. Do you have an address for the court's file? I have on record for you that Thacken Drive address. Is that the address you want to use for notification purposes?
Yes.
All right, so I'll indicate 4113 Thacken Drive. That's Lansing, Michigan, 48911. Do you have a phone number for contact purposes, ma'am?
Yeah.
What is that number?
517-574-9383.
All right. Are you on probation or parole?
Neither one.
Are you employed?
No.
Okay. If I'm going to automatically enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment, Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we would remind the court that Ms. Culpepper has essentially no real prior criminal history. The only offenses that she has had any experience with are traffic related. So she is not a danger to herself or the community. She's lived in Lansing for the last 8 years. She has extensive family here. Her 2 children live with her here in Lansing, so she's not a flight risk either. Therefore, Your Honor, we're asking for a personal recognizance bond.
All right. If you're able to make bond, I'm going to order the following bond conditions. No use of alcohol or drugs. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the victim in this case. And that's, I have Barbara Bruner.
I don't know who that is.
I know, so, and that is 1,500 feet of work, school, or business. No use of no firearms. I have no criminal history in this. I do have an aggravated assault, which is a 1-year assaultive crime. So I'll set a low 10% bond at $2,000, 10%.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else for the record, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further.
All right, you're all set, Ms. Culpepper?
Your Honor, I do have one question. What was the judge that her pretrial conference will occur in front of?
Judge Ward.
Thank you.
That's a good question. All right, and then we'll do Mr. Mohammed. I have several cases with Mr. Mohammed.
Okay.
All right, we're on the record in docket 23-00039. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Ahmad Mohammed. With the parties, so sir, you are Ahmad Mohammed?
Yes, sir.
All right. And counsel, your appearance for the record?
Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Ahmad Mohammed.
All right. Sir, this is the time set for arraignment. I'm going to read to you the allegations that have been brought against you in this misdemeanor case. It's a 3-count case that on or about September 17th, 2022, at the offense location of 816 Prospect Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County. Yourself, Ahmad A.H.M.A.D. Mohammed M.U.H.A.M.M.A.D. did in count 1 make an assault or an assault and battery upon the following person, Brittany Manning, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being 75081 parents 1, that there may be restitution ordered in this case pursuant to the law of the state of Michigan 780.811A. That's a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. There may be consecutive sentence if it happened in a place of confinement. Did in count 2, under the same address, location, and date, make an assault and battery upon the following person, Talia Henderson Baker, contrary to MCL 750.81 parents 1. There may be restitution ordered in this case. This is a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. There may be a consecutive sentence imposed under the laws of the state of Michigan if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. In count 3, did commit the offense of larceny by stealing a Cash App card and cigarettes that belonged to Brittany Manning. The value of the property was less than $200, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being 750.356 parents 5. That's a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500, or 3 times the value of the property stolen. Do you understand the nature of the 3 misdemeanor charges that have been brought against you, sir?
Yes, I understand.
All right. In this case, you have the right to the following trial rights, and then I'll read them for you. You have the right to be tried by a jury. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty. You have right to have witnesses appear at trial and testify in your defense. You have the right to question any witnesses brought against you. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses to appear in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Do you understand your trial rights in this matter, sir?
Yes.
You have the right to counsel in this matter. You, of course, are represented by John Lee from the Public Defender's Office for limited purposes of this arraignment. Do you plan to seek further representation from the Public Defender's Office?
Yes.
All right. I'll indicate yes under the Register of Actions. Your pretrial in this matter is set for March 13th, 2023 at 10:30 in front of Judge Ward. Is the address in the file, the Jolly address, still a good address for you?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it's 2245
No.
West Jolly Road,
No.
Lansing.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's 4245 West Jolly Road, lot 231.
Okay, so it's 4245 Jolly Road lot. Which lot is that?
Lot 231.
All right, lot 231. That's Lansing, Michigan.
Yes,
And is that still 48911?
yes,
Do you have a phone that you can be reached at?
yes.
And what's
It's
that number?
517-803-1183.
All right, 517-803-1183.
Yes.
Are you on probation or parole, sir?
I just got sentenced to probation yesterday, and then they locked me up saying I had more charges.
Are you employed?
No,
I'm gonna enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Muhammad has some criminal history, including some domestic violence convictions for which he has either served time or is currently on probation. So we understand the court's concern with in regards to the safety of the public. But Mr. Muhammad is also paying child support monthly and helping to support his children that live here in the Lansing area. He's been here since 2000 and is not a flight risk. So we're asking, Your Honor, if you would consider a low 10% bond so that he might have an opportunity to get back out and get working again.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. If you're able to make bond, I'm going to set the following bond conditions. So no use of alcohol or drugs, no assaultive behavior, no out-of-state travel, no contact with the victims in this case, and that would be no contact with Brittany Manning, or Talia Henderson Baker.
yes, sir.
So you're supposed to be 1,500 feet outside of the zone of where either Miss Baker or Miss Manning lives, works, or goes to school. You understand that, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. No possession of a firearm. I do have somewhat of a criminal history and assaultive behavior. I have a domestic assault out of 2003, a domestic assault out of November 2003, December 2003. I have a domestic assault second offense out of 2004. I have a domestic assault 2000, that was Nolly Prod, so that those two don't count. That one doesn't count. Larceny building out of 2018 and a domestic assault out of 2023. Based on the prior assaultive behavior, I'm going to set bond for safety to the community of $4,010%. Anything else for the record in that file? I have another one, Mr. Lee, Mr. Mohammed, but anything else on that file, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mohammed, we have another case. It looks like it's a bench warrant, so I'm gonna arraign you on this bench warrant case. It appears that you were bench warranted. And I'll describe to you the nature. You are once again are Ahmad Mohammed,
Yes, I am.
and this is in docket 20-03553. Mr. Lee, your appearance for the record.
Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Ahmad Mohammed.
All right, it appears that this was signed by James Harris. James Harris on January 3rd, 2023. It was countersigned by Judge Ward on January 3rd. And there was a fail to appear for pretrial conference scheduled at 9:30 on January 3rd, 2023. Do you understand the nature of the bench warrant that was placed against you for your failure to appear in front of Judge Ward?
No,
All right. Do you understand that you were bench warranted for fail to appear?
well, I understand that. Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm gonna indicate that the address is the same as the current file. And the phone number. This was on a driving while license suspended case. Your next pretrial in front of Judge Ward will be March 14th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Your Honor, we would reiterate the same considerations and ask the court to consider that the driving while license suspended case is a nonviolent misdemeanor.
Thank you. This is a fail to appear that seems to be 2 to 3 years old. I will indicate that the judge placed as a part of the fail to appear that the defendant's bond should be set in the amount of 1,510%. And so I won't reduce that. You can revisit that at trial, but that's Judge Ward's ruling, 1,510%. Anything else on file 20-03553? That's the bench warrant file, Mr. Lee.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
And Mr. Mohammed, you've also have a collections case, an outstanding collections case that we need to address. Probably seems like the least of on your plate right now, but I'm going to indicate that we're addressing this elections case. I don't know what's the outs. Let me check the balance on this because I don't have a. This is 500. All right, so the outstanding balance for this DV third is $651. That it looks like this case was in front of Judge Ward. I mean, Judge Simmons. Yeah. You obviously need some time to pay that amount, given your other charges. I'm gonna set it out for 60 days. All right. You have a balance owed in this file collections. If you don't pay anything, they'll just issue a bench warrant for you, and you'll start this whole cycle going again. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm gonna set this. You have till May 1st to pay the city of Lansing the balance owed of $651. Anything else for the record, docket 1700842, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Right, you're all set, Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you.
Sorry, yes.
All right, Miss Graham or Mr. Graham?
Mrs. Graham?
All right. So these are two tickets that have gone to warrant for fail to appear. Ms. Graham, I'm going to indicate what the two tickets are. So these are 22 L2691751 and 22 L2691752. This is the date of arraignment on both tickets for previous fail to appears. And ma'am, you are Whitney Graham?
Yes, sir.
All right. Counsel, your appearance for the record?
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Whitney Dawn Graham.
All right. Ma'am, you've already been arraigned on these, but I'll indicate the nature. As to the fail to display a valid license, it is indicated that you failed to appear for a final pretrial on June 27th, 2022 at 8:15 in front of Judge Ward. And I'm sorry, that was in front of Judge Simmons. It was signed by Judge Ward. Do you understand the nature of that allegation, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in regards to the unregistered vehicle, which is 22 L2691751, the allegation is you failed to appear at a pretrial on June 27, 2022 at 8:15. And that would appear that it was in front of Judge Simmons. Do you understand the nature of that allegation for fail to appear?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So you've been arraigned on both those files. Is that Kavanaugh Road address still a good contact in regards to both files?
No, sir.
All right. What's the new address that I can place in the file?
1602 Lyons Avenue, Lansing, Michigan, 48910.
And do you have a phone?
Yes, I do.
What's your phone number?
517-703-7764.
Okay, your next pretrial date is set for March 14th, 2023 at 10 a.m. Pretrial set for March 14th, 2023 at 10 a.m. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond? I have Judge Simmons indicating that bond is revoked at this time, but understanding the nature of these allegations, I'll look to hear from you. But it appears that on June 30th, 2022, Judge Simmons indicated that she did not want an interim bond because of the fail to appears. But I certainly would hear from you, Mr. Lee.
I understand, Your Honor, and appreciate Judge Simmons's position. We would only remind the court that the client's, Ms. Graham's criminal history involves misdemeanor only, and she does have the failure to appear in this case. However, according to her, there were some technical issues that contributed to that. So we would ask the court to consider reinstating some type of a personal recognizance bond. Her prior bond, according to our records, was only a $100 personal recognizance bond. So perhaps a higher bond or a low 10% bond is something we would ask the court to consider.
All right, I'm going to set a low 10% bond, Ms. Graham, with the hopes that the PR bond didn't work. You seem to be developing a record for fail to appear. You don't want to do that, right? Because you're going to get things like a no bond so that the judge is convinced you should appear. Do you understand that?
Correct, yes.
All right, I'm gonna set bond at $200, 10% on the fail to valid display, and $200, 10% on the unregistered vehicle. So that would be $20 on each file, okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, anything else for the record, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Don't get your hat, Mr. Capella.
And then on the